What is going on, guys, and welcome to another episode of The Hot Take. This is when we dive deep into one real estate topic. I'm your host of BatchTV, Jesse Burrell, and at BatchTV, we talk everything real estate with fix and flipping, wholesaling, rentals, and everything in between. Today's topic is actually very, very interesting. When you're buying rental properties, should you have it as a traditional rental or Airbnb it? Great topic today. Let's get into it. All right, I have a special guest, Austin Rutherford. What's up, brother?
What's up, bro?
So I'm really excited today. You guys, make sure you stick to the end. At the end of this video, we're going to be talking about renting to a normal tenant or hosting something on Airbnb and the different type of profits, pros and cons of both that you can make. Austin, let's get into this. So how long have you been in real estate for? Roughly how many deals are you doing a month? And then what got you into real estate? If you just want to give a quick 30-second bio, who you are and what you do.
Absolutely. We'll keep it quick. Appreciate you having me on here. Austin Rutherford from Columbus, Ohio. I'm 27 years old. I bought my first duplex when I was 20, flipped my first house at 22. So I've been flipping for about 5.5 years now. We're hundreds of properties deep. We do everything from wholesale to fix and flip to buy and rent. And now to, starting to add more Airbnbs into the portfolio.
I know. So this is an extremely exciting hot take to jump into, to where I think we could give value, because a lot of people just think the traditional way of doing things.
Yep.
You have a lot of rental properties. How many do you have?
About 65 to 70 right now.
About 65 to 70. How many of those are Airbnbs currently?
3 right now, but I'm in the works of transitioning a lot of them over to Airbnb.
So you said you're going to transition 20.
Yep.
So let's talk about why you're transitioning 20 of your Airbnbs.
So Airbnb's been around for years now, right?
Yeah.
And previously, I didn't think it made sense because I ran numbers on it. And let's say you can rent something for $1,300 a month.
Right.
To do Airbnb and only make like $1,500 or $1,600 a month, it's not worth the headache. It's not worth the furniture upkeep, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And that's what I thought the numbers were. But I was like, all right, let's try one. Let's at least do one, see how it goes. And we did it. We doubled the income. Right. And I was like, okay, now it makes sense. And we've had proof of concept on a smaller unit and a large single family unit. And the large single family unit is doing numbers. And I'm like, all right, we're going to transition. This entire neighborhood, we're rolling everything over to Airbnb.
Right. So I think when you're buying, especially because you're wholesaling, you're getting a lot of properties to choose from. So not just I call wholesaling like marketing. You're wholesaling a property to your entity of fix and flipping or to buy and hold or whatever.
Yep.
Let's keep that simple. So I think there's definitely a different buy box that you're going to have for Airbnb than for a rental property. But I think people just would throw everything into, okay, it makes sense as a rental. But I see a lot of the bigger players in the areas that we're in is they're starting to take advantage of Airbnbs. I have a lot of friends is they have a certain buy box. So if they get a deal, okay, this doesn't make sense as a rental. This is an Airbnb. I absolutely 100% think that you should do your best to make sure, worst case scenario, you're breaking even on your mortgage.
So I always say you got to buy something on rental numbers and Airbnb be a bonus. But I'm in the process of renovating a single family house to be an Airbnb that doesn't make sense as a rental property right now. So I'm kind of going against what I've always said, but the profitability is there. I own a house 10 houses down the street, and it's going crazy on Airbnb, but I'd be almost breaking even on a regular rental property. So I'm kind of leaning towards what you said is buying things on Airbnb, because that's the world that we live in nowadays. But to your point of when doing Airbnbs, you have to do things sometimes over and above of what you would do a traditional rental.
Right.
Because part of having a great Airbnb is having good guest review. Not part of it. That's one of the biggest drivers is having a 5-star rating, being a super host, and having reasons people want to come to your property versus other people's properties. One's location, that's always tremendous to be close, walkable to something. But if you don't have that, and or if you do, to add to that, having features in the house like a pool or a hot tub or a weight room or a pool table or something like that to add in, that's what gets people more to your property rather than somebody else's property. But you got to be comfortable spending the extra money too.
So a nugget that I want to give for people that want to start having some of their rentals or convert them to Airbnbs, what I've seen the most success from what I've done. So if we go way back, I actually managed multiple Airbnbs right when I got in. I don't really talk about it because It was 7 years ago, and I helped find
I
flips.
didn't even know Airbnb was around back then.
That was actually when you would do Craigslist and VRBO. So it was actually pre-Airbnb,
That's
but I was
crazy.
doing, Airbnb, same thing,
Yeah.
same concept. But what I noticed was people don't care about the upgrades as much as they care about the layout and funness of the home. And I don't know if
100%.
funness is a word, but we're rolling with it, guys. But I've noticed having an open layout, having it conceptualized, pool for luxury stuff, make sure you get a heater on that pool. You could charge an extra $150 a night. It's just like anything else. You could add all these little add-ons to keep adding towards your profitability for monthly things. The more things you have, the happier people are going to be.
I've even been charged more for like a fire pit and a heated pool, a fire pit. You got to like pay $50, $100 for a night for gas. Like it costs like $3. But like you said, like that all adds to the bottom line. Another thing too, with the cleaning fees, as a host, you charge a cleaning fee.
Right.
That can be a profit line too. Because if you charge the $70 to clean, you can charge the guest $120. Right. And then you can add that to the profit line as well.
Exactly. But it's just creating an experience. It's all about experiences.
100%.
Because for, someone that's just renting a house for a year, they're going to want something totally different than someone that's going to go on a vacation and want to enjoy their short time there. And I have a handful of friends. Devin Burr, he was actually on the show recently. We talked about infinite banking. Definitely you should check out his show. But he has a handful of Airbnbs. He puts like foosball tables, darts, ping pong, and like one other thing. And he has a dedicated game room to every Airbnb he buys.
People stay there for that.
I mean, I would, because it's an experience. You could go there to sleep like a hotel room, or then people don't have to go out and do as many things with their children when you have that whole entire experience to encumber inside of a beautiful home that someone created an experience for you to have.
And something else like putting a mural on a wall, something that resembles the city. Whether you're in Phoenix or LA or wherever you're at, putting something on there that people can take pictures in front of.
Oh my God, let's take a picture.
Let's take a picture right now. Oh my God, here we go.
Oh my God, I'm making a face.
Like one big nose, delete
it.
Maybe with the city, with like the downtown Skyview line.
Right.
Like people will take pictures in there and post it, and it just keeps building brand awareness, and people will literally stay there just from having a nice memorial.
So let's kind of transition into what makes you decide to rent a house with a normal, typical tenant or Airbnb. Can you give the audience an idea on how do they identify these properties? What's something that you would have to give to them?
No, absolutely. So we run them the same way as rental properties. So it has to cash flow as a rental property. And then for us to do an Airbnb, because you have upfront costs like furnishing, which is not cheap. I learned that the hard way on the first one. I think we spent $6,000 for a 2-bedroom unit just for the furniture. So not only do you have to make that money back to make it make sense, you got to make profit because there's more moving pieces. You got to book people. You got to, message people when the neighbors get mad for having parties. So it has to be profitable to do that. So for us, we look to make double. So we want to make double, whatever the regular income is, we want to make double that, maybe a little bit less. So like, for example, we have a 2-bedroom unit. We could rent it for $1,350 a side.
Yep.
We pull in about $2,800 a month, but then we got to pay like $300 to $400 and like utilities and things like that, and be aware of additional costs like utility expenses, Wi-Fi expenses, things like that. So we could make $1,350. We're pulling like $2,300, $2,400. So it's not double, but it's pretty close. But specific, so that's kind of our guideline on turning something to an Airbnb, and you got to have a location that's desirable.
Right.
Because if you're out in the middle, unless you're like on a lake or something, if
right.
you're just in Timbuktu country town, like nobody's going to stay there.
Right.
So if you can be close to the city, or you can be close, walkability is a huge thing as well.
Right.
So that neighborhood that I'm talking about, they're putting a $30 million commercial development in there, which has like 10 restaurants in it.
Nice.
So now that neighborhood's walkable. So that's why I'm transitioning all my units into Airbnb.
Yeah.
So just being aware of the surroundings as well, and like putting in like books when people walk in the door of like local attractions, local restaurants, how-tos on anything that's weird with the house, like lights.
No, patio light. Okay. Now that turned on the hall light. The other one, patio light. No. Oh my God.
Or TVs or something like that.
Yep.
People want that too because they walk in, they feel
I
at
had
home.
to do that. You have to, how do you set up the TV? How do you do this? Like you really have to think of it, and you won't think of everything if you first start your first one.
Yeah.
but you'll quickly get a lot of messages to where you'll streamline that process because you don't.
How do I do this?
Yep,
got to do that
exactly
for sure. So at the end of the day, though, like when you run the numbers, barring another COVID, complete shutdown, knock on wood, you make more money with it. Like I have a single family house this was the big eye opener for me. I actually had to move out of the house that I custom built for myself for some other scenarios.
Yeah.
But it was over the top. It had the speakers in the ceiling. It had the basketball court. It had the garage door on the back of the house. It was desirable, right? And it's rented all the time. We're pulling like $7,000 a month in, and I could probably rent it for $3,000 a month. So for a single family house, my mortgage is $2,500 a month, and I'm bringing in $7,000 on it.
Yeah.
Like that's a no-brainer.
I think it's going to start being to where people could sell portfolios of Airbnbs down the road.
I agree.
It's a business.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's a business that's going away.
I don't either. I mentioned this before we jumped on here, but I was on the airplane here and I read an article. The CEO of Airbnb said that they will need millions of more hosts to keep up with the post-COVID travel demand.
That's crazy.
It's not going anywhere anytime soon.
So before we go, it doesn't have to be related to this topic or anything, but what's like one last gem you could give to the audience?
So people ask me that all the time, and I love the question. Something I learned as an early teenager was be conscious of your time. Be conscious of who you spend it with, the value that comes behind it. Most people just like waste time. They play video games all day. They sleep in till noon. They go out and party and drink every single night. Let's say you want to make $100,000 a year, right? It's 2,080 working hours a year. So you take whatever you want to make. Let's call it $250,000 a year. You divide it by 2,080. That was definitely not right. $250,000 a year divided by 2080. Your time's worth $120 an hour. So you shouldn't be doing things that are not producing that much money. So that's spending time with people. And once you start a business, not spending your time on bullcrap tasks that you can hire somebody for $10, $15 an hour to do.
Right. I think that's a gem right there for sure. Because I definitely think you should learn your business and then you should start delegating what you're not good at.
For sure.
And working on the business instead of in the business. Something that I'm finally getting to, and I've been doing this stuff for over 7 years now. And obviously I have, a lot of employees and we have a lot of people that work together, but it's still, we are such hustlers that we want to work in the business. Yep. And sometimes that's not the best way, to grow your company.
Agreed, for sure.
So how does the audience get a hold of you? We know you're semi-TikTok famous already, but where's the social media platforms where someone could reach out to you?
Absolutely. So Instagram is Austin Rutherford Official. That's where I communicate, answer all the DMs. I'm on TikTok, Austin Rutherford, and on YouTube, Austin Rutherford as well.
Dope. All right, brother. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Appreciate
you. Thank you guys so much for watching another episode of The Hot Take. Thanks again, Austin, for coming on, brother.
Absolutely.
Make sure to any comments you guys have, throw them in there. Subscribe to the channel. Let's get it. Check out these other videos right here. Follow me on social media.